Okay, hold on. Let me get this. Oh, wait, this is live, sorry. Okay. Okay.
You may be catching photos of this interview clip that.
Okay, hey everyone. So I got these glasses that have anti-glare on them. And so so they do a crazy thing where it looks like I'm shooting light off because it's anti-glare, so I'm like basically shooting like light off my glasses. So when I'm in meetings, I have to remind myself to take them off or find an angle because it's complete like blocking, which I love. So there's that. Um, yeah, let's just give it a minute to see where everybody's at. It's so funny how tan I look. At under certain lights, I look so tan, and I say this every time. I'm always amazed. Hey, Sarah. Okay, so we're gonna get started. What time is it? Oh, it hasn't started yet. It's 8 o'clock. Sarah, if you want, type your questions in. And Ions and Beth Branch. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Yes, I know I need to dye my roots. Old age ain't for the faint of heart. But I mean, 35 isn't that old, but you feel it. Okay, we have like 30 more seconds. I feel like how my Pilates instructors must feel, where it's like, all right, everyone's ready to go, but you can't do it just yet. So, how are you guys doing tonight? So, Mercury is in retrograde. There's the new moon. I'm excited. I'm having girls' night on the new moon, so that's going to be super fun. Okay, let's see. Still, nope. Couple more seconds until 8 o'clock. Okay, so niching. So let me just give you a little introduction. Me and my little Celtic curls. Um, okay, so sometimes things pop up. So my name is Maureen Castellan. I am so happy to teach you guys how to niche because I've been in marketing. So let me just give you a rundown. I've written more than 40 business books. I've written 234 courses. I've made 153 million for clients. Um, I was in the classroom for 15 years and I've been in marketing for 12 years. So if you want someone to write your online course, I'm pretty much the person who was born to do it. With that being said, I see a lot of issues with niching, and it's like the first step that people do not want to do because everyone kind of panics and they're like, well, in this economy, um, I want to make sure that I'm going to make sales. And it's fine. That's wonderful, whatever. But you're not going to make sales because the smaller you go, the bigger your profit. But a lot of people are like, well, I just don't know who my niche is yet. And if you don't know who your niche is yet, that just means that you haven't done um, the market research to see who your niche is going to be. So part of the problem is people don't do their market research. So I'm going to give you right now the 4 questions to ask um, to do your market research. Okay. So the very first question, you're going to kind of get a general idea of what your topic's going to be based. So I'm just going to tell you the rundown. Ask yourself, what do you get paid to do? I get paid to be an instructional designer and a copywriter and an editor. So those are 3 things that I can do. Okay. Then what do my friends ask me? My wonderful friends. What do they ask me? If they're texting me and they're like, hey, I'm having XYZ issue. Can you help me out? That's another course topic that you can do. Another one is, what is your special interest? Because you can be an expert at something and really make some good money. So, and another thing that I want to bring up is you don't have to be like a cold blooded expert. You don't have to be the expert of everything. What you have to be, how you can qualify being an expert is being one step ahead of your learners. So you need to ask yourself 4 questions. What do I get paid to do? Your W-2 or your W-9? What do I get paid to do? What do I get asked about all the time? What do I get asked about all the time? Um, what's your special interest? And then here's one that a lot of people don't think of, but it's actually great. And they do think of it, but they think that someone else is going to jump on it. Where is there a gap in the market? So those are your online course ideas. Okay. I think I'm going to rename the live that online course ideas. So, that'll be the next one. It looks so tan. It's so funny. So those are the beginnings. Now ask yourself, well, now I have an idea for a course idea. Who's going to buy it? Because a course that you just want to make is a vanity project, and that's perfectly fine. I have been paid to write plenty of vanity projects, and I have loved cashing all those checks. Nobody cares if it's a vanity project, but you have to be honest with yourself. Sometimes you just want people in your family to read it if you have a functional family. Sometimes whatever it is. So the key is finding out who's going to buy your course, and you do that through market research. So get a general idea based on those 4 questions about what your course can be about. And then start kind of guessing who your niche will be. And you can do a guess at this point, an educated guess, obviously. Like, if you're thinking that someone's going to buy a course on how to operate, 1972 fax machines, like, it's not happening. So, kind of get a general idea of where your niche is or who they are and kind of where they hang out, because based on that, then you can make the next step. So I like to go on LinkedIn and do this, is put on LinkedIn, hey, I'm creating a course on XYZ. I would love to set up a chat with you, and make the you very general. I would love to set up a chat. I would love to get a group together to ask a few questions, because more than anything, people love to be asked questions. They love to give their opinion. Like, It's incredible for them. So you can do that. Now, you can also do that on Reddit, on one of the communities. You can do that on TikTok. Basically, I don't know if I really want to reach out to your network, because in the past, anytime I've reached out to my network, I always get someone who's very well meaning and is like, no, I'd love to help you answer some questions. And they have nothing to do with that topic, like nothing to do at all with that topic. And I'm like, well, great. So I would then go to the communities and then set up time blocks. And I would set up like maybe 20 minutes. People are not really willing to give up more than 20 minutes. So you get them in front of you on a Zoom phone call. Don't do it through text, because that's not going to be very serious. And people aren't as forthcoming when it's in writing. What did the housewife say? What did Dorinda say? Say it, forget it, write it, remember it, when they were at Bluestone Manor. Then once you have time with them, there's a few questions you can ask, but these are the ones I find most effective. Describe your perfect day to me in relation to the course. So let's say that you're a nutritionist and your course is going to be about women in their 40s taking Ozempic, and they now have to readjust their nutritional needs based on hormones, based on their hunger cues being, quieted down, the food noise, if you will, and then still having to navigate eating with their families or eating with their friends. Like, I eat with my friends once a week, no matter how busy I am. And one of my friends is on Ozempic. And I tell her all the time, wouldn't it be amazing for a nutritionist to write a course for women in their 40s on Ozempic? She's like, I would buy that course in a heartbeat. Like, it's so specific, and that's why it would work, because that product isn't out yet. And if it is, I haven't seen it. And if you guys have, let me know. But people have their ideal day in regards to that. And they also have their pain points. So what's a pain point for a woman in her 40s on Ozempic? She needs more protein. She doesn't know how to feed her body because the food noise has been shut off, but she still needs to be social. So those are her specific pain points. She's worried about, the shortage of Ozempic. She's worried about, not feeling hungry and having to sit down with the kids, having to still be social, probably having to drink like a ton of, what are those called? Protein drinks. So, those are very specific concerns. So there's very specific hopes, very specific pain points. So if I were a nutritionist writing this course and I were to ask, well, how much would you be willing to pay? Because here's the thing that I tell people all the time. Niching is not just about marketing. Niching is also about pricing, because you have to know the range within your niche, because there's some niches with deep pockets, and there's some niches that that are very limited. So I always say the niches of like Star Trek and Star Wars, those are some deep pockets. I accidentally, 20 years ago now, went to a Star Wars convention in Indianapolis. I was visiting my my friend at this. Yes. Okay. Sorry. I forgot her name for a second. I was visiting my friend Christina, and I walked into the Indianapolis airport, and there's all these, I don't know what they're called. Don't come after me. Jedis. And so these were people, grown people, young people, who had spent a lot of money on these costumes. And that's great. So some niches, if you were to sell, and I think the tickets to the convention were $500, because the guy that invented the movie, that designed it, whatever, George Lucas was there. So that was like a big deal. So that's a very deep pocket. I think makeup niches don't always have deep pockets. They're always looking for dupes and great deals. Hair care can be a little bit better, but people who really want a solution are really willing to pay for it. And you have to understand that solutions that are carefully curated to your niche are always going to bring more money, because if there was someone who spoke specifically to your pain points, you would buy whatever it is. Sorry, you guys, if I was outside in the heat with the dog. So there is a lot to consider when you're doing the niche, but what is your ideal day? What are your pain points? How much would you pay for a course? Just ask them. I mean, most of us here are Americans, and we love, oh, hi, Tiff's the Witch. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. 1 second. So I've been getting a lot of requests to join me on my live. I made that mistake once. Not great. So people pay a lot for a customized solution that hits all their pain points. And then your fourth question is, describe your ideal day. What are your pain points? How much would you pay for a solution? And then the final question is, would you be my first student in my course? You always have to test your courses out first. This is called a beta group. Okay. So in this beta group, you test out your course. Some modules are going to hit it. Oh my God, they're going to be great. And some are not. And the thing is that when I was a teacher, the teachers who had their PhDs in education had maybe spent like a couple of hours in the classroom. So they had these lofty ideas about these saintly children who wanted to learn so much. But because they hadn't spent a lot of time with children, they didn't know that they were such menaces. And they didn't know that a kid will ask you 100 times a day, how is this going to serve me? Why do I need to know this? Is this going to be on the test? They're very action-based creatures, and you have to kind of know what's going to motivate them, what's going to be their interest, how you can kind of pivot to them. So that's why you do beta testing. So you have your idea, which is what you get paid to do. What do people ask you about? What's your special interest? What's the niche in the market? And then the other one is how the 4 questions for the market research. You go to a community and you ask, hey, I'd like to talk to someone. If you're at a loss, don't go to your network. Just post on LinkedIn. That'll be the best. People on LinkedIn love to talk, and they'll write a post about how they were your hero. So you can write that. And then you are going to sit down, and I always suggest the market research, because you can't write something or you can't market something that no one's going to buy. Like, you can sell a course before it's been designed, before I design it, because you're selling value. You're not necessarily selling information. So you have that to consider. So then once you've done your market research and you see which group is going to be interested. Now, within that group, within that group is another group that's going to be interested. And within that group is another one. So I always use this example, besides the Ozempic one. There's 3 sets of college graduates. One of them, their parents have paid for everything. Another one, student loans. And then another one, full ride, academic or athletic. Doesn't matter. It's paid for is paid for. So within those, I am so sorry. Within those, there are concerns. So within the niche, let's say that we look at the niche of recent college grads. So we have that they have paid for in student loans. So their concern is, well, now they have to pay back student loans. Do they go the creative route or do they go the corporate route? So there's pain points with each, because going corporate, I have a corporate job. Going corporate is a different personality than being creative, because I will tell you, I prefer corporate over the marketing world, the creative world, because the creative world and the corporate world are both cutthroat. But with the corporate world, you kind of know the rules. And in the marketing world, there's not, I mean, I worked at so many marketing agencies that not even one HR person, not one person that would advocate for you besides the traffic manager. So there is that concern of, well, I went to college, I had all these student loans, and then let's say they were an honors English major like me, or a history minor like I was. and then they have to pay back these student loans. So their specific pain point is, do I go corporate to pay back my student loans and kind of be in a gilded cage, or do I go creative and maybe not be able to pay back my student loans or to eat? So those are very specific concerns, and they're all valid, but those are concerns. So a course directed towards them that speaks their language of gilded cage, creativity, like, when is their moment, and all of that, that is speaking to their specific pain points. So what would someone who had a creative major who paid for it with student loans, what would be their ideal day is to be paid very, very well for their creativity. Maybe it's a corporate job that's very creative. I've had some very creative corporate jobs. The job that I'm at now, I love it. I feel very creative there. No one ever takes my ideas, and they all, not all, but my ideas are welcomed. So I would say ideally, a course for them would be corporate and creative, balancing that. So speaks to their hopes and speaks to their pain points. So that's another thing to consider with niching, as I said earlier, is what would they be willing to pay for this? So I try not to make courses more than $500 if I recommend it. If someone isn't super well established, like someone like Gary Vee, yeah, you pay more money. But someone that you've never heard of before, you may not pay that much for their insights. You just might not. So I always say for beginning clients, stick between 200 and 500, and then establish your community. But I don't recommend going more than that, because you have to establish yourself as a source of value and a source of transformation. So you have to kind of ask yourself, what is the transformation that you are selling? Because people want value, and they want transformation, and they want transparency. But you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, I just have to say, I love fresh squeezed organic orange juice from Whole Foods. I quit smoking when I got COVID, and I replaced it with orange juice. Fresh squeezed organic. Anyways, it's important to price your course well, and the market's always going to determine your price. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, we're in the market now, and it's not great, and so people can barely afford food. So keeping that in mind. But what you can do is you can keep a course at a good value, and then you have part 1 of the course, part 2, the next level of the course, and then you can bundle it together. So if you are really hard pressed to have making $500 off a course, add another course onto it. I'm not saying that always works, but that's if you're dead against, bundling or have you, we would think of something else. But it's important to really think about your niche. So let me know in the comments and tap the screen. Let me know what your niche is, and we can go through it and we can niche down together. So let me see. Okay. So there is that. I'm trying to think. So when you are marketing to your niche, it's one message. Okay. One message for one niche and one product and service at a time. The thing that I always talk about, and you'll see it in my videos, is cognitive overload. You will people want to be the smartest person in the room. So you're not an expert, you're birthing experts. So you have to let people be the smartest person in the room. And that's something that changed my career, was letting other people be the smartest person in the room. I wasn't obnoxious about it, but people want to feel good and people want to feel smart. And so cognitive overload is a real concern, because for a lot of people, they put in too much information in their courses. And that's my job, is to whittle it down, because I've had some really great courses that didn't start off that way. It was just a lot of information, because remember, you're selling value and you're selling transformation. If you have a 600 module course, people aren't going to buy it no matter what the price is, because it's just not going to, it's going to overwhelm them. So you're selling value, you're selling transformation, you're selling transparency. So you have all of that going for you. And then once you figure out all those components, you then have to hire someone like me who can either write or edit your course. And it's a lot of work. I've been doing courses for 25 years. It's a lot of work. Don't in any way, shape, or form think that doing a course is easy, because you have to figure out the information that's relevant. You have to figure out the information that's valuable. You have to figure out the information that points towards or creates a transformation, all while being transparent. And you have to make it applicable. So, like I said, when I was a teacher, there were, all these PhD students, or, whatever they're called. And they had studied education, but they had never actually been in the classroom. So there's that. Oh, another thing that I have been meaning to bring up. The niche you want may not be the niche that wants you back. So I always tell the story. There was a group of wealthy college kids, and they decided that their first business was going to be a cereal bar, because they loved a bowl of cereal in college. And, they were pretty wealthy, so they didn't worry about going hungry. Like $5 to them was probably nothing. So they didn't understand that most college kids like me didn't have, the funding, maybe bounced a check or two to Bama Dining. And I have the receipts. So they had this lofty idea that college kids were willing to pay, and I think it was $5 for a bowl of cereal back then. $5, can you imagine? So they were like, oh my God, this is going to be great. So they marketed to college kids. They opened their doors, and it was little ones that came in. It was like toddler and pre-K and like early elementary school kids who loved it, their favorite cereal, and they can mix their favorite cereals together because their parents didn't want them to have a lot of sugar. And so these were the clients, and they loved it. I remember I went down to check it out, and the owners were disgusted by these little kids. Like, ugh, no. So they doubled down on their marketing for college kids and tried to do like a Thirsty Thursday. They tried to do like a cereal Sunday or something like that. And it bombed. And what they should have done was partner with like a children's party planner, a bounce house, a magician, something that was related to kids. And they just were like, nope, we're going to keep on doubling down on the marketing. So, they were rich kids, so money wasn't anything to them. But, their employees suffered, and these kids that really loved, the cereal bar were devastated. Devastated is too strong a word, but they really were upset. So that's kind of what happened is they had a niche. It just wasn't the niche that they wanted. And they were jackasses about it. And they didn't go for who wanted them, so it was kind of the downfall of their business is that they didn't want the niche that wanted them. So you can do all of this, and the niche that you want might not be the niche that wants you. But the thing is, that's kind of the price of doing business. I mean, I've had, a business idea that didn't do well. And it's not that I lost money, but I spent a lot of money on something that didn't take off as well as I thought it was going to. And that's, like I said, that's the price of doing business. So, and the niche was there. It was a lot of work. And so, you can do everything, but you have to also make sure that the niche you want also wants you to. And what happens if you have a niche that you've never thought of, but you're not super keen on them? You really have to ask yourself, is it that I think I'm too good for that niche, or I don't think that the interest is there, or I don't think I can serve the niche? All of those are valid answers. You don't have to dance with someone who asks you, but it's easier. And sometimes it's fun to dance with people you don't know, or go with an idea you've never thought of. So like, I was in copywriting for forever and ghostwriting business books and what have you. And it never really occurred to me to write courses, even though it was right in front of my face, because I wasn't overly thrilled with being a teacher. It's a lot of politics. It's a lot of self-sacrifice. And I don't do that. So there's that. And, it was right in front of my face. So sometimes ideas will come to you that are right in front of your face, and you may not have thought about them. Or like me with writing courses, I was like, I didn't really love being a teacher all that much. I don't know if I really want to do teachery things. I want to do more copywriting, writing things. And then all of a sudden one day I got up and I was like, I should design courses for coaches and small businesses. What have I been doing? And I started getting into it again, and then AI came around and I was like, oh yeah, no. So you always have to ask yourself if the niche you want also wants you. And if it's a niche you don't want, how can you find common interest with them? How can you learn how to speak their language? Because the first thing you'll ever, and you can spend like, there's one online course creator who charges, I think it's $10,000 or $13,000 now. And the first question she asks is, who's your niche? How can we make it super small? Because sub-niching helps with your pricing, helps with your marketing, helps with market research and product design, product or service design. You can always figure something out. You can always figure something out. But, why? Why put that burden on? Make your life easier. One niche, one message, one product. And you'll have a lot more success. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you just also don't have to make things harder for yourself. And let's see what else. I think I've covered everything. Let me know if you have any questions, but I think I've covered everything. Let me see, my glasses are going to get super big right now. Okay. Let's see what else. I think I've covered everything. La 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 la. Let's see. Comments. So, okay, so those are, so let me just recap everything that we've talked about with niching. If you don't know what your course idea is, what do you get paid to do? What do people ask you for help with? What is your special interest? And um, what is the gap that you've noticed in the market? So those are the 4 questions to determine what your course should be about. Then you kind of start getting an idea together, and then plug into social media platforms your course idea, see how many communities pop up. Then you write in one of the communities or the threads or whatever the terminology is for that platform. Hey, I'm writing a course on X, Y, and Z. I would love to get some feedback. Can I schedule a time with you? And you is very general. People will go and they'll write you back and be like, sure, I'd love to help. Or I know someone that would love this. So then when you get your kind of group together and ask them one-on-one, do not do a group Zoom. That does not work. So then you get them together and you ask them, what is your ideal day? What are your pain points? What keeps you up at night? How much would you pay for a solution? And would you be my first student in my course? So that's your market research. So then, based on all of that, you have a course idea and you have enough numbers to justify you investing the money to get a course done. And then you kind of have to learn the niche. And then within that niche, you go to the sub niche. What's the next layer with that niche? And then you go and you go and you go and you go and you like dig until you kind of hit not rock bottom, but you hit like something that's so incredibly specific. So, like I said earlier, women in their 40s who are on, if you're a nutritionist, women in their 40s who are on Ozempic, who have to combat raging hormones, um, having their food noise cut off. So they have now a different relationship with food. And then food is very social. So they may have to eat with their families, they may have to eat with their friends. And how do you navigate that? I don't know if you guys have ever broke bread with someone who's on Ozempic, but it's a little bit of a challenge because they're always nauseous and they don't want to eat anything. They don't even want to smell food, let alone look at it. So, so those are the concerns. But if someone, a nutritionist, were to come out with a very specific course that met all their like their hopes, their dreams, their frustrations at the right price point, it would sell out every time. When I talk to my friends who are in that age range and who are on Ozempic, they would pay between $200 to $500. And that's what I recommend for all my new course creators. Like when I write the course and they're like, well, how much do you think I can sell this for? I always say between $200 and $500, depending on market demand. And that's why you always have to be looking at the market, because the market is what determines the price, not you, not your experience, none of that. So you have to ask that. So the market determines the price. You are selling value, not information. So you can't do an overload. So you're selling value, you're selling a transformation, and you're selling transparency. Because now more than ever, people are going to look at you and they're going to try to see how they can tear you down because they need a hero. Everyone needs a hero right now. So you kind of have to take all of those into consideration when you're niching down, and you always have to niche down. So I would recommend writing who you think your niche is at the top, dividing it into 3, and then 3 again, and 3 again, and 3 again, and 3 again, and 3 again. Oh, I wish I had my whiteboard wall again. Maybe I'll get another whiteboard. But oh, there's one downstairs. I'm talking to myself. So write the niche, divide it into 3, divide those 3 into the 3s, and like get it down to there's one group, and then kind of put feelers out for that group. And it will be spectacular. So that's kind of niching in a nutshell. I am available if you have any questions. Let me know what your questions are. I am super happy to answer any questions that you may have. And I go live. I'm going to start going live. Sorry, I've been going live Wednesday nights at 8 and then Saturdays at 3. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. EST. And then Saturday, 3 p.m. EST. And so let me know which questions you have. You can either DM me or join me on my next live. But thank you for joining me. And I hope you all have a good night.